Let's talk a little USC recruiting as the Trojans have the number one class in America. But USC fans know if they've been following recruiting, July and August have been slow. Yeah, they added four-star offensive lineman Brett Colajay in August, Booby Feaster in July. But I guess the biggest news is that there haven't been any decommitments, and that is why USC still sits at number one. So we're going to break it all down. But before we do that, USC fans, do me a favor. Hit subscribe to the Rivals Recruits channel. This is the best recruiting channel on all of YouTube. So jump on board and hit subscribe. All right, let's bring in national analyst Adam Gorney, number one class in America. USC has it for 2026, at least as we head into the season. So are there any remaining needs that USC would still address in the fall?
Yeah, you look at the class, 32 commitments, number one in the country. I mean, what else could they possibly need? But, from talking to a few people about this, they're still looking at a second tight end. Even though they got Mark Bowman, they beat Georgia for him. They're going to try to bring in a second tight end. I think the name that they're looking at is Keave Brown from Corona Centennial. Looked like he was going to head to Texas. Both sides kind of parted ways there as Texas slowed down on him. USC really stepped it up after that. And so he's going to take an official visit there this fall. I don't think that's going to scare Bowman off at all. It's just going to add to the tight end room. I was also told they're going to look at a safety. Now, that might be best available. They might try to take a shot and flip somebody, but that was also after Colajay committed. So I think at this point, final touches maybe, but probably looking at a tight end mostly to finish out the class.
Yeah, why do you think they didn't have as many decommits as we saw? Because they've still gone national. I mean, they've done great in the state of California and regionally, but they're still recruiting nationally, and they've been able to hold on to most of those top commits.
Yeah, I think two things to look at here. One, it's still early. So as a lot of these guys go through the fall, and I think we've seen this at USC before, especially last recruiting cycle, as guys start visiting Texas and Georgia and Alabama and all the Southeast schools, I think there will be some competition there. It'll be interesting to see if Ohio State goes after Elbert Hill. There's just a lot of guys from a lot of parts of the country where there's still a lot of danger zones there. But I think the second thing is, and we've talked about this at length, the NIL deals are in place here. So, nothing is binding yet in terms of that stuff, but it is compelling kids and families to sort of honor those deals. Now, the fall could, throw that into an oblivion and we can see a lot of things change. But from the people that I've talked to, the personnel people, locking these guys into NIL deals early sort of makes them feel compelled to stick with the school that gave them the best money.
All right. Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how the season goes, but so far so good for USC fans. Now, we're kind of turning the page here on the inside scoop to 2027 because most teams are turning the page to 2027 as well. So when it comes to USC recruiting in the next class, we got to know who is emerging as Lincoln Riley's top QB target.
Yeah, I think this one is clear, and I don't think they're making it any secret. They're going after Peyton Houston, and they're making it obvious to everybody that he's their number one guy on the board and the guy that they want. They've talked to him all the time. They've loved him up, and I think that's important for Houston because LSU is, I wouldn't say put him on the back burner, but they do have targets ahead of him. And I think it's probably turned Houston off a little bit there. Now, Oklahoma is going to be an interesting one to see if that offense really kicks into high gear under Ben Arbuckle and John Mateer there. But I think USC is the team to beat. I would be very surprised if they don't end up with Houston in the class. He's come out to Los Angeles multiple times, including in June when USC kind of sneakily brought in a bunch of high-end targets in 2026 and 2027 to work out. So he was the quarterback at that event. So I think that's going to be something to watch as USC has made it clear he's their number one target at quarterback. And I'm sure he probably ends up in this class. It would be a surprise if he didn't.
Yeah, Lincoln Riley generally gets his number one target, at least at the quarterback position. All right, Adam, what other big names is USC trending for early so far in this 2027 cycle?
Yeah, a lot in state. I think they're going to have a lot of success in state because a lot of kids for years, had kind of just been looking elsewhere. And, Bryce Young goes to Alabama and down the line you go. But a kid like Duvet Williams has grown up around USC. He absolutely loves USC. It would be a shocker if he went anywhere else. Quentin Hale is getting a lot of heat in the last couple of weeks as people see him Alabama, Georgia, Texas A&M, Notre Dame, all involved. But USC has hung on there. Aaron Washington, he goes by J.O. Everybody calls him J.O. Washington, is another modern day kid who has USC very high on the list. It wouldn't be a shock to see him go there. And his teammate, I was told last week, it's almost done. The paperwork is almost done to get Danny Lang to sign early, or at least commit early to USC there. So there are a lot of big names in state. They're being aggressive with in-state guys in 2027, and especially at defensive back. I don't know how deep they go, but they can probably go as deep as they want. If they take 2, maybe they could go 3, 4, 5 pretty easily.
Wow. All right, USC fans, talk to Adam and I. Who is your top target when it comes to 2027 recruiting? Let us know. Comment section below.